Brazil, 5 World Cups, the most iconic yellow shirt in sports history, the land of Pelé, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Romario, and so many legends that you could fill an entire Hall of Fame just with their attackers. But something about 2026 feels different. It feels awkward, uncomfortable, even a little bit strange. Welcome to the Tactical Club. I'm Paul, and every single day we break down football tactics, team form, World Cup storylines, and the beautiful game's deepest questions so you stay ahead of the curve. Today, we are doing the most complete, most honest, most tactical Brazil 2026 World Cup preview you will find anywhere on YouTube. No hype, no panic, no lazy hot takes, just real analysis, real context, and a clear answer to the question everyone is asking. So here is the question. Is Brazil a genuine title contender, or are they heading for another embarrassing early exit? A lot of people are calling this Brazil team overrated. Some say they are a disaster waiting to happen. Others look at the squad, see a collection of world-class stars and a legendary coach, and say that is a team that can absolutely win the whole thing. So which is it? How can one team create such opposite opinions? How can the same group of players be called both awful and elite? I am going to walk you through everything. The chaos of their qualifying campaign, the 4 coaches in less than 4 years, the full roster breakdown, position by position, the tactical setup under Carlo Ancelotti, the projected starting 11, the group stage opponents, and finally, the real, honest, evidence-based reason why Brazil could actually lift the trophy in July. But first, let me take you back, because to understand where Brazil is going, you have to understand how they got here. And this World Cup cycle was an absolute nightmare from start to finish. Rewind to December 2022. Brazil loses to Croatia in the quarterfinals of the World Cup in heartbreaking fashion. They were favorites, they had the talent, and yet they went home early again. The mood around the Seleção was pure funeral energy. Tite, the head coach, walked away. The Brazilian Football Federation was left in chaos. There was no plan. There was no clear successor. There was just uncertainty. Then came Ramon Menezes as an interim coach, and I made a whole video breaking down why his system was fundamentally broken. He was so ineffective, so uninspiring, so tactically lost that it was almost impressive in its failure. He was not the answer. Everyone knew it. Then came the Carlo Ancelotti rumors. Everyone thought the Italian legend would take over. The Brazilian Federation waited, and waited, and waited. They delayed, they postponed. They put their entire hopes on Ancelotti saying yes, and then he never came. Real Madrid extended his contract. Brazil was left standing at the altar, so they panicked and pivoted to Fernando Diniz, a brilliant club coach, no doubt. But club and country at the same time? That never works. Diniz was trying to implement his complex, fluid system with players he saw once every 2 months. It failed, predictably. Then Dorival Jr. arrived in early 2024. Decent club resume for sure. He won things at Flamengo and São Paulo, but for the Brazilian national team, it was never convincing. 16 matches in charge, 7 wins, 7 draws, 2 losses, a quarter-final exit at the 2024 Copa America, which is simply not good enough for a nation that expects to win or at least reach the final. And then came the absolute low point. A humiliating 4-1 thrashing by Argentina in World Cup qualifying, at home, in front of their own fans. Dorival was fired in March 2025. That is when Brazil finally hit the panic button and landed Carlo Ancelotti. He came in during the final stretch of qualifying. He guided them through the last 4 matches. He secured a spot at the 2026 World Cup. But let's be completely honest with ourselves. Brazil finished 5th in CONMEBOL, qualifying with just 28 points. In the old 32-team World Cup format, that 5th place would have meant the Intercontinental Playoff. They would not have qualified automatically. Think about that for a second. The most successful football nation in history, needing a playoff to reach the World Cup. That is how rough this cycle was. Let me put that in perspective for you. In the 2022 qualifying cycle, Brazil had 14 wins, 3 draws, and 0 losses. 0. In 2018, they had 12 wins, 5 draws, and 1 loss. In 2010, 9 wins, 7 draws, 2 losses. In 2006, 9 wins, 7 draws, 2 losses. If you add up all the losses from those 4 cycles, it is still fewer than the number of losses Brazil suffered in this single qualifying campaign. 4 different coaches in less than 4 years. Unheard of, embarrassing, painful. But here is the thing about football. It is always darkest before dawn. And the dawn, in this case, is the roster that Ancelotti now has at his disposal. That is where the hope lives. That is why you cannot simply write Brazil off. So let me take you through the squad, position by position, player by player. And I want you to really look at these names. Starting with the goalkeepers, Alisson from Liverpool, Ederson from Fenerbahce, and Wevertong from Grêmio. Alisson is world class. He is calm, he is reliable, he is a big game goalkeeper. If he is healthy, Brazil is fine in goal. But if he gets injured, or if he gets food poisoning, or if anything keeps him out of the lineup, then we have a real problem. I do not trust Ederson right now. His form has dropped, his confidence looks shaky, and Wevertong is not the same player he was 5 years ago. So there is mild concern at goalkeeper depth, but not a disaster as long as Alisson stays fit. Now, let us talk about the defenders. This is where things get interesting. Danilo from Flamengo. I will be completely blunt with you. He should not be on this plane to the World Cup. Ancelotti is keeping him for leadership, for experience, for his voice in the dressing room. But his level on the pitch has dropped significantly. He is slow, he is error-prone, and he is a liability against fast wingers. The center-backs, however, are elite. Gabriel Magalhães from Arsenal, Marquinhos from PSG. These are 2 players who started a Champions League final together. They know each other, they trust each other, they are physical, they are intelligent, and they are comfortable on the ball. Behind them, Brazil has Bremer from Juventus, Leo Pereira from Flamengo, and Roger Ibanez from Al Ahly. That is serious depth at center-back. But the fullback positions are a real weakness. The best option at right-back is Wesley, now at Roma. He is exciting going forward. He can beat a man, he can deliver a cross, he can create chances, but he is also error-prone. He has a bad giveaway in him at any moment. Remember his mistakes in the Club World Cup? One moment he sets up a beautiful goal, the next moment he passes directly to the opposition and concedes. On the left, Brazil has Alexandro and Douglas Santos. Neither one inspires confidence. So yes, the fullbacks are shaky, but every team has a weakness, and if you have elite center backs and an elite goalkeeper, you can survive shaky fullbacks. Now, let us move to the midfield. Casemiro is back. He has been playing like he is wearing jeans sometimes. Stiff, slow, a step behind. But experience matters in knockout football. Casemiro has won everything. He knows when to foul, when to hold, when to press. Bruno Guimaraes is one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. He controls tempo, he breaks lines, he fights for every ball. Fabinho is now in Saudi Arabia, but he still has big game intelligence. Paquetá from Flamengo still shows up for Brazil when it matters, even if his club form has been inconsistent. And then there is Danilo from Botafogo, a proper box-to-box midfielder. High energy, good tackling, surprising technical quality. He earned his spot in March and he deserves to be on that plane. So the midfield is solid, not spectacular, but solid. Good enough to support the attack and protect the defense. And now, let me get to the part that makes Brazilian fans smile. The forwards. Vinicius Jr. from Real Madrid, Matheus Cunha from Manchester United, Neymar from Santos, Raphinha from Barcelona, Højlund from Bournemouth, Igor Thiago from Brentford, Endrick from Lyon, Luis Henrique from Zenit, Gabriel Martinelli from Arsenal. Stop and look at that list for a second. That is not just depth, that is embarrassment of riches. That is a collection of pace, power, dribbling, finishing, and creativity that no other nation can match except maybe France and Argentina. This attack is so deep, it is almost unfair. And yet, people still say Brazil cannot win. Let me walk you through the projected starting 11 and the shape. Most likely, Ancelotti will line up in a 4-2-3-1 formation. Matheus Cunha as the central striker, playing through the middle. Vinicius Jr on the left wing, doing what he does best, isolating fullbacks and creating chaos. And on the right wing, Luis Henrique from Zenit. I know some of you are raising your eyebrows at that name, but he has been incredible for Brazil. Pace, power, strength, defensive work rate. He is a two-way player who can go up and down the flank for 90 minutes. Behind them, the attacking midfielder role will probably go to Raphinha or Paquetá, depending on the opponent. And the double pivot in midfield will be Bruno Guimaraes and Casemiro, with Fabinho and Danilo as rotation options. But here's the tactical key. Defensively, Brazil will not stay in that 4-2-3-1 shape. Ancelotti is a pragmatic coach. He adapts. Against strong teams, Brazil will defend in a compact 4-4-2. Matheus Cunha will drop deep into midfield, almost like a second defensive midfielder. Vinicius Jr will stay high and wide, ready to sprint in behind. Luis Henrique will track back and defend as a second fullback. That shape is solid. That shape is hard to break down. And that shape allows Brazil to explode on the counterattack with devastating speed. Think about it. You are playing against Brazil. You have the ball. You are trying to break down their 4-4-2 block. You commit players forward. And then, in 1 second, the ball is turned over. Vinicius is already running at your tired fullback. Raphinha is sprinting through the middle. Matheus Cunha is making a third-man run. That is how Brazil will hurt teams in the knockout rounds. Ancelotti will not play open possession football against France, England, Spain, or Argentina. He would lose that game. Instead, he will be reactive, compact, dangerous on the break. And that is exactly how you win knockout tournaments. Ask Jose Mourinho, ask Didier Deschamps, ask anyone who has ever won a World Cup or Champions League with a team that is not the absolute best possession side. Now, what about Neymar? Where does he fit into all of this? The honest answer is that we do not know yet. Neymar is injured at the time of this recording. He is not fully fit. He has not played consistent football in months, but he will be healthy for the World Cup. The question is, what version of Neymar shows up? The motivated, creative, match-winning Neymar, or the slow, frustrated, injury-prone Neymar? I think Ancelotti will use Neymar as a secret weapon off the bench. Imagine a tight knockout game. The score is 0-0 in the 70th minute. Defenders are tired, the game is stretched, and then Neymar comes on as a false nine, floating between the lines, dragging center-backs out of position, creating chaos with every touch. That is a terrifying weapon. That is something no other team has on their bench. So now let us talk about the group stage. Brazil has been drawn into a group with Haiti, Morocco, and Scotland. Let me break down each match. First game is against Morocco. This is the toughest match of the group by a wide margin. Morocco are the AFCON champions. They made the semifinals of the 2022 World Cup. They have an organized defense, a passionate fan base, and a coach who knows how to set up for big tournaments. I think Brazil will be nervous in that opener. I think it ends in a draw, 1-1 or 0-0. Not a disaster, but not a perfect start. Second game is against Haiti. This should be a blowout. No disrespect to Haiti, but Brazil has 10 times the talent. 4-0, 5-0, maybe even more. Brazil needs to score goals in this match to build goal difference. Third game is against Scotland. Scotland is not an easy team. They are physical, they are organized, and they have Scott McTominay, who always seems to score in big moments. But this is a must-win match for Brazil. A solid 2-0 win would be enough to finish first in the group, assuming the draw against Morocco and the big win against Haiti. So Brazil finishes first or second in the group. If they finish first, they will likely face a tough opponent in the round of 16 and then a quarterfinal against England. That quarterfinal would be massive. England has incredible individual talent, but they also have a tendency to freeze in big knockout games under pressure. And I actually like Brazil's chances in that match. A reactive, counter-attacking Brazil against a possession-heavy England that leaves space in behind. That is a good matchup for the Seleção. So what is the final verdict? Are Brazil genuine title contenders or overrated pretenders? Let me be completely honest with you. Anyone calling Brazil the heavy favorites is delusional. France is deeper, Spain is more tactically sophisticated. Argentina has the winning mentality and the best player in the world. So Brazil is not the favorite. But anyone saying Brazil cannot win is full of nonsense. Let me give you 3 real, historical, tactical reasons why they can absolutely lift the trophy. Reason 1. Brazil went 24 years without a World Cup trophy between 1970 and 1994. That drought ended in the United States of America. This World Cup is also in the United States of America. Coincidence? Maybe. But football history is full of strange patterns and repetitions. Reason 2. South American teams historically overperform when the World Cup is not played in Europe. Look at the data. Brazil won in Sweden in 1958. Argentina won in Mexico in 1986. Brazil won in the United States in 1994. Argentina won in Brazil in 2014. No, they lost the final. But the point stands. When European teams do not have home continent advantage, South American teams become more dangerous. Reason 3. Carlo Ancelotti is the best coach Brazil has ever had at a World Cup. Period. No previous Brazilian coach has his resume. No previous Brazilian coach has won 4 Champions League titles. No previous Brazilian coach has managed Cristiano Ronaldo, Karim Benzema, Kaká, Andriy Shevchenko, and so many other legends. Ancelotti knows how to manage egos. He knows how to set up for knockout football. He knows how to win when it matters most. Add to that the attacking talent. Vinicius Jr, Raphinha, Matheus Cunha, a motivated Neymar off the bench. Add the Champions League final center-back partnership of Gabriel Magalhaes and Marquinhos. Add the experience of Casemiro and Alisson. Add the summer heat in North America, which will hurt European teams more than Brazilians who are used to playing in high temperatures. So here is my final take. Brazil is a legitimate title contender. They are not the favorite. France, Spain, and Argentina are ahead of them on paper. But if Brazil wins the World Cup in 2026, I would not be surprised at all. Not even a little bit. If you are Brazilian, stay optimistic. The history is there, the talent is there, the coach is there, and the location is there. This feels eerily similar to 1994, a rough qualifying campaign, doubts everywhere. And then, a trophy at the end. Thanks for watching The Tactical Club. If this preview got you hyped, or if it changed your mind, or if you just appreciate deep tactical analysis, drop a like. It genuinely helps the channel grow more than you know. And comment below, do you think Brazil can actually go all the way this time, or is another painful quarterfinal exit waiting for them? I read every comment. I am Paul. This is The Tactical Club. See you in the next one.